Let me put your mind at ease about FinCEN. FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the new rules all go live March 1st, so it's coming up. Everybody's kind of stressed out about it, thinking, oh, it's going to hold up my closings, it's going to be this big deal. You know, tons of webinars and seminars about them. But I'm basically here to tell you, I'm not saying it's not that big of a deal, but it's not going to delay your closings. It's not going to be such a big issue that you really need to worry about it. You know, what FinCEN is made for is it's to stop the money laundering that's being done through real estate. So it's to stop, the people that are hiding behind entities like LLCs, corporations that aren't really who they say they are. So it's just our way, it's the government's way, with titles help, escrows help, to vet these people. So before, March 1st, FinCEN's been around, but it's only been for certain counties within California. So in regards to California real estate, it only involved certain counties in California, and it only involved properties where the sales price was $300,000 or greater. Well, the difference is now is a couple things. One, it's all counties. So every single county, it's basically nationwide, but for California, all counties are involved. Any sales price, so it doesn't matter how low or how high, any sales price. So when FinCEN applies is when, you as listing agents, let's say you accept all cash purchase from a buyer, and that buyer is purchasing the property in an entity like an LLC, a corporation, a partnership. And now one other change is if they're purchasing the property in a trust, those will all flag FinCEN if it's an all cash purchase. Additionally, if any of those entities are purchasing the property using a non-institutional lender, like hard money, private money, those type of loans, those will also flag FinCEN. And so all that's really required is copies of IDs. So basically any member of that entity that has 25% interest or more, we will need copies of their IDs. We will need their entity docs. So if it's an LLC, we need the operating agreement. If it's a corporation, we'll need the bylaws, partnership agreement, et cetera, et cetera. If they're in the trust, a copy of their trust as well. So we'll need copies of IDs, copies of the entity documents. And then they're also gonna have to submit a form to us or to escrow, where they have, and that's one thing that's a little bit more involved. So the form prior was, a few pages, wasn't too much. This one's a few more pages, so it is a little bit lengthier. But basically the procedure for you, the real estate agent or the buyer's agent, it's pretty much the same. It's just more counties. It's all the counties. So it's always been here. Not too much really has changed. The hard part is for us, really for escrow or title, whoever's involved in submitting that documentation. So as soon as we get that documentation, escrow or title will submit it all. That's the time consuming part. But from your end, if I'm a listing agent and I'm about to accept an offer from an all cash buyer and they're planning on buying it in one of these business entities, I would just make it part of the transaction where I'd say, hey, you need to send me copies of your IDs. Any member that has 25% interest or more, you need to send me copies of your entity documents, and you could send them a form for FinCEN and say, hey, this is the form you have to submit. Make sure that they're all good and agree to do that, and you really won't have any problems. And again, for accommodation recordings, this is also the case. So that means if you have clients, or if any of you want to deed your property into, let's say, an LLC, corporation, any of these, outside of a transaction, outside of title and escrow, you'll have to clear FinCEN as well. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents about it. If you have any questions, need any more info, just let me know. Have a good one.